Alright, what's on the menu for today? Let's see, it's the Fruit of Evolution, and oh boy, it's another isekai harem. Great. Let's get this one over with. So the show begins with our main character Seiichi looking for diamonds in the cave, but then a girl comes on to him and says,
I'm in love with you, Seiichi. So please, say I can be your wife.
But then it turns out that this takes place later on, and we flash back to when Seiichi was in school. He gets shit on by a lot of people because he's a fat loser, and then everyone hears this on the loudspeaker. So Phone Guy transports everyone to Ohio because, he feels like it, I guess. However, because Seiichi is such a big fat waste of space, Phone Guy forgets to transport him with everyone else. Because of that, he gives Seiichi a special skill which lets him read any language, and then he sends him off to Ohio. When he gets there, he spawns right next to a bunch of Cocoa D's nuts and eats them. However, these aren't regular Cocoa D's nuts, but instead they're the Fruit of Evolution. They let whoever eats them evolve and become super duper pooper strong, so you know what that means. Now Seiichi is extremely overpowered and can pretty much do anything, which means there's no stakes in the show and nothing can go wrong, but we'll get to that later. So then a giant pink gorilla named Saria comes out of nowhere and fights Seiichi. However, as they're fighting, she falls in love with him and decides to marry him because my name's Jeff. And that's where the first episode ends. Overall, it was pretty bad, although it wasn't the stinkiest pile of donkey shit I've laid my eyes on. Most of the episode is pretty boring and generic, and it's not until Saria comes and fights where it gets notably better. It's really stupid seeing a kid fight a giant pink gorilla, so at the very least this part wasn't too bad, although it's still nothing good.
I'm Glenn Quagmire.
Then in episode 2, Seiichi and Saria go in another cave, meet Papyrus, but then... Yep, Saria dies, Seiichi gets really mad and then kills Papyrus, even though he's already dead. But then, uh-oh, stinky, it turns out Saria is still alive, and then... What the fuck?! So the two of them kiss, and just why? Is this show promoting bestiality? Did Shane Dawson write this? Anyway, after that monstrosity from Fur Affinity, Saria turns into a human girl because why not? After this, the rest of the show is pretty much your typical isekai harem. Seiichi goes to a guild, does quests, uses magic, fights people, and also helps some girls who then fall in love with him. If you've seen other shit shows like Smartphone and Beast Tamer, then you've seen this. While minor, there are some things that make the show stand out, although not for a good reason. I'll get into this later, but for now I'll just say that the art is terrible. Character designs are pretty bad, and it's rare to see characters be on model. It's sort of unique and stupid to have its two main characters be a fat ass kid as well as a giant talking pink gorilla. However, this gets forgotten shortly after since Seiichi changes his appearance and Saria stays in her human form for most of the show. There's even a donkey later on who falls for Seiichi, but just like Saria, she turns into a human and stays like that. So even though the show has aspects that can make it distinct from other isekais, it's too lazy to stick with them. Wouldn't it have been weird to see a fat dude get hit on by a giant pink gorilla and donkey for 12 episodes? Yes, but at least it would have been different. At least it would have been something new, even if it's not good. But what we're left with is just another shitty and forgettable isekai.
I'll turn myself into a
Pickle Rick!
Another thing about Evolution is that it's really unfunny and fails so hard at comedy. It flings so much shit on the wall that something is bound to stick and get a chuckle out of me, but so much of it is cringy and unfunny. It's like the author watched Konosuba and said, hey, I could make this, but then forgot he couldn't write for shit. For example, there's this one part in episode 6 where Seiichi is skimming through pages of magical books. Just by opening each page, he somehow masters every single spell in the book, which I think is supposed to be funny, but it isn't because it means Seiichi just becomes more broken and can now do even more insane and dumb shit. So yeah, this brings me to my biggest problem with the show, which is Seiichi being overpowered. I fail to understand why some isekais have their main characters be broken and unstoppable. There's no stakes in the show, so no one is ever in danger. Nothing matters because Seiichi is too powerful and can do literally anything. Can he break Grem's curse that makes her extremely unlucky? Can he kill a super duper dragon demon thingy? Can he win the big race while riding on his starving donkey who's in last place? Can he save the king from eternal slumber, which even the best magic users in the world can't cure? We'll find out after this commercial break.
Fuck you, Baltimore!
If you're dumb enough to buy a new car this weekend,
You're a big enough schmuck to come to Big Bill Hell's Cars!
bad deal.
Cars that break down!
Thieves.
If you think you're gonna find a bargain at Big Bill,
You can kiss my ass.
it's our belief that you're such a stupid motherfucker!
You'll fall for this bullshit.
Guaranteed!
If you find a better deal,
Shove it up your ugly ass!
you heard us right.
Shove it up your ugly ass!
Bring your tray.
Bring your title!
Bring your wife.
We'll fuck her!
That's right, we'll fuck your wife.
Because at Big Bill Hell,
You're fucked 6 ways from Sunday.
take a hike
to Big Bill Hell.
home of challenge pissing!
That's right.
Challenge pissing!
How does it work?
If you can piss 6 feet in the air straight up and not get wet,
You get no down payment.
don't wait!
Don't delay.
Don't fuck with us or we'll rip your nuts off!
Only at Big Bill Hell.
The only dealer that tells you to fuck off!
Hurry up, asshole.
This event ends the minute after you write us a check!
And it better not bounce or you're a dead motherfucker.
Go to hell!
Big Bill Hell's Cars.
Baltimore's filthiest
And exclusive home of the meanest sons of bitches in the state of Maryland.
guaranteed!
Okay, we're back, and to answer all those questions,
Yes.
of course he can, because he's Seiichi. He's the main character, and he can do fucking anything. This is exactly why this show, as well as other isekais, are typically really boring. Sure, a lot of them are really generic, but the biggest problem with some of them is that there's no stakes. And if there's no stakes, then what's the point of the show at all? Are the characters any good? No. Is the animation good? No. Is the world and concepts in the show any good?
No.
So I'll ask this again. What is the point of the show? I got barely any enjoyment from watching Evolution. I guess seeing Grem get her curse lifted was sort of neat, and her arc and episodes are easily the least shitty of the series. The race with Laloon wasn't too bad, but that's mainly because the episode looked laughably bad. It's honestly one of the worst looking anime episodes I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. I will say that most of the show isn't that terrible. Again, a lot of it is pretty bad, but nothing too offensive. However, there are clearly scenes and episodes where I did not give a single fuck for what was going on. There's some scenes where the evil semen demons are plotting to rule the world or some shit. I don't know and I don't care because Seiichi is strong enough to kill them, so why does any of this matter? A lot of these scenes are usually kinda long too, and I was bored out of my mind while watching them. Also, the show will sometimes cut to Seiichi's classmates training in a different part of Ohio when I never understood why. Nothing comes from it and it just felt like filler, honestly. And speaking of filler, there's a decent amount of it. At the start of every episode, there's at least a 30-second recap of the previous episode. Sometimes it's longer, especially in episode 10 where it's nearly 2 minutes long. So this means at the start of every episode, you'll be hearing this over and over again.
My name is Seiichi Hiragi. My name is Seiichi Hiragi. My name is Seiichi Hiragi. My name is...
There's also whatever the hell this is, which takes up the last minute and a half of each episode. I wouldn't be complaining about this, but this is a 12-episode seasonal anime, so this is kinda ridiculous. I'm sure the budget was low or the studio didn't have enough time to complete these episodes, but still, this is not okay.
Once you're done reading, this letter will self-destruct.
I've got nothing else to say, so let's move on to the last 2 episodes. Here, the stinky ones come and attack the castle, but Seiichi and everyone win because of course they do. This lasts for about an entire episode, and I almost fell asleep during it, and no, I'm not joking. After that, Seiichi decides to become a teacher at some school, and that's how the anime ends. Like I said, the show is really bad, but I wouldn't say it's outright terrible despite it having some awful moments. But yeah, with that, we can move on to its cast of characters. Are you shitting me? You're telling me this turd muncher somehow got another season? Is this a zombie? God only knows. Baka to test. All those shows don't get another season, but this shit stain does. And not only that, but this season is even worse than the last season? Just kill me now. So season 2 starts off with Seiichi fighting some random dude, and honestly, it looks good. I know this is the first scene of the season, so it's ideal to make a good first impression, but still, this fight scene does look good. However, I had a feeling the studio put all their time and effort into this one scene, and of course, it turned out I was right. But anyway, just like season 1, this scene doesn't happen until later on, so we start right where season 1 left off. Seiichi and everyone move into a school and he teaches a class with only a couple students. However, none of them can use magic because of a curse, so he breaks it because of course he can, and now they can use magic. Also, all of this happens within the first 3 episodes, which leads me to one of the biggest problems with this season. The pacing is so slow, and I feel like barely anything happened this season. Season 1 was pretty boring at times, but at least things were actually happening in it. Characters developed, there were stories and arcs that started and ended, and stuff actually happened within a fair amount of time. But here I feel like the story could have been told in the span of 6 episodes instead of 12. What really happens in this season? Seiichi teaches some kids at school, they fight some bad guys, Seiichi is dead for 1 episode, he fights the big bad guy and wins, and then the season ends. I know I'm leaving out some stuff, but that's basically all that happens. So much of it also takes place at the academy, which is another problem. At first, I sort of like seeing the series take a different approach and turn more into a school isekai. But then I got bored of it after a few episodes since it started to overstay its welcome and felt like a completely different show too. Most of the characters from the previous season got barely any screen time and these new student characters became the new main characters. I don't get who thought this was a good idea. I know I didn't care for any of the other characters before, but I wanted to see them develop and actually do something. But no, instead we spend so much time introducing new characters and just throw out the old ones. So yeah, this season is notably different than last season, and some of it is actually for the better. If it isn't obvious, the art has improved, although not by a whole lot. Another thing that has slightly improved is the comedy. A lot of jokes still don't land, and honestly, most of the ones that did were just references to other shows. These jokes shouldn't work since they're just random references that come out of nowhere, but that's kinda why they work here. None of these jokes and references were in the last season, so the writers just said fuck it and threw them in here because they stopped giving a shit. And that's why I sorta like these moments. They come out of nowhere, they usually aren't funny, and they're mainly just confusing. Why the hell are they referencing Fist of the North Star for no reason? They never did this before, but now they're referencing this in JoJo and other shows all the time. There's also a Fate reference, which is genuinely funny and caught me off guard.
Yes, Seiichi! If you're dead, that means you died. People die when they are killed.
This season may be horrible, but I'll give them credit where credit is due. The reason this season is so different from season 1 is because a lot of it is apparently anime only and doesn't adapt material from the light novel. But as always, I don't care if an anime faithfully adapts material or not. I should be able to judge it on its own. And besides, season 1 fucking sucked anyway. It's just that this season sucked even harder. And a lot of that is due to the season being really boring. Season 1 had some awful scenes and even episodes, but for the most part, it wasn't too offensive. This time though, there are a good handful of episodes that are just a chore to sit through. Episodes 5 and 6 suck ass because it's just Seiichi training his students, they fight some stinky baddies, and it's really boring. The only positive things I can say about this is that I like seeing his students stop the pink girl by themselves. I thought for sure Seiichi would have saved them, but he didn't, so that was sorta surprising. Also, the only reason Seiichi isn't here is because he's taking a massive shit in the toilet, which is admittedly kinda funny.
But I gotta take a fucking shit!
But then after the pink girl loses, the pink guy fights everyone, and of course Seiichi comes and saves everyone because, yeah.
Seiichi dies.
The end.
I wish, but no, there's still half the season left. So Seiichi wakes up and realizes that he's in the afterlife. However, even though he's dead, he can apparently come back to life by just walking through a gate. Okay, so you're telling me anyone can come back to life if they wanted to? This makes absolutely no sense. I know there's barely any stakes in the show, but now there's literally no stakes at all. Seiichi, or anyone for that matter, can die and come back as many times as they want. I know the show wants to be really dumb and stupid, which I don't have a problem with. However, you can't write in stuff like this while also having serious fights for a good handful of the season. It's so tonally jarring and I can't take any of it seriously. This is exactly why I'm bored most of the time, because there's no stakes, so nothing matters. In the next episode, there's a bunch of side characters fighting the big baddie and one of them dies. But uh-oh, Stinky, he's not dead for long, because remember, everyone can just come back to life whenever they want. So this and many other scenes don't matter at all.
I'm Glenn Quagmire.
Most of the season is pretty terrible, besides the first few episodes, episode 7 where Seiichi is dead, as well as episode 9. In this episode, an evil dude disguised as one of the classmates goes around trying to fuck with all the main girls. It's not a good episode, but it's at least nice to finally see the main cast again, since they've done barely anything this season. But then after this is episode 10, and it's the worst episode in the entire show. The first half has a bunch of annoying side characters that do nothing, and I almost fell asleep again. The second half has one of the dudes fight another dude who reminds me of Pink and Me. Both of them are strong and fight each other with their shirts off, which sounds like it should be fun, but it's somehow not. I have no idea how someone managed to make this concept boring to watch. I guess they did it by making both of the characters be uninteresting, as well as having the animation be really poor too. But yeah, whoever made this episode deserves an award that just says go fuck yourself on it.
Hey dog, you get some ice cream? Only a spoonful.
With that, we make it to the last 2 episodes, and guess what? They blow too. Most of episode 11 is the bad guy's backstory, and episode 12 is Seiichi fighting him and then winning. And guess how he wins? Here, I'll give you some time to think. He wins by the power of love. Yeah, I'm not fucking with you. He actually wins with the power of love. What the fuck am I watching? And of course, with the power of love, everyone who died this season comes back to life because no one working on the show gave a shit. The bad guy dies, which thank God, and then the season ends. Oh wait, never mind. Before it ends, we get a little tease for the next season, which yeah, sure. Like this show is going to get another season. I'm sure with the major backlash this season got, it'll never get a 3rd season. But then again, it somehow managed to get a 2nd season, so who knows. Anyway, that's it for season 2, so let's move on to its cast real quick. All these characters suck ass. Seiichi's your typical bland harem protagonist, and all the side characters are awful and forgettable. As for the girls, they aren't good, but fuck it, I'll do a short waifu war for shits and giggles.
And have sex with children and kill them.
Origa Calmaria. Origa's worst girl because she's only 8 years old. I like cupcakes and all, but not as much as this guy.
Is it me, or does it smell like updog in here?
Karen Kanazuki. Karen is just a ripoff of the smelly girl from Hensuki, since she smells shit, and that's pretty much it.
Round 1. Fight!
Luis Balzi. Luis is a super strong knight or something, and she's okay, I guess. She sorta looks like the poor man's Estet, and her name is Louise, which reminds me of the familiar of Zero. So yeah, she just makes me want to watch other and better shows, so good for her.
Dicks out for Harambe!
Saria. Saria is a gorilla, but she looks cute in her human form. She's scary in her gorilla form, and that's it.
What's he think I look like? A jackass?
Lalune. Lalune is a donkey, but she turns into a human girl because she just does. Also, how does sex work with her and Saria anyway? Like, what happens if they get pregnant in their human form but then change back into their normal animal forms? Do their babies change into animals, or do they change to half human, half animals? Or are they entirely human? I don't fucking know, and I wish the show would bring this up. Also, Lalune has orange hair, green eyes, and a ribbon, so she reminds me of Yotsuba. And yeah, I really wish I was watching Quince again instead of this shit show. Ultria Grem. Grem is best girl, she's okay, and everyone else sorta sucks. She's pretty strong and cute, and I feel bad for her because of her curse thingy, and yeah, that's it. So that's the official waifu war for the show. If you disagree with me, then let me know why in the comment section. I already said this before, but Jesus Christ, this show looks really bad. Season 1 looks awful, character designs suck, and they're rarely on model. Episode 7 especially makes episode 5 of Super look like a Ghibli movie. It's laughably bad, which is probably why it's easily one of the best episodes. Other parts of the season look terrible, but episode 7 is a giant shitfest. Season 2 looks at the very least finished and somewhat presentable. It's still not good by any means, but it's not too bad. Lighting seems to be better and animation has improved a bit too. Also, this looks really bad. The OST wasn't available to listen to on YouTube, so I'm just going off memory here. There's one rock song in the race episode which was actually pretty good, and there's this really obnoxious song with MLG air horns in it too.
If I must.
But besides those two tracks, I don't remember anything else. The English dub was below average too, and no one seemed to give a shit while recording. Then again, I don't think anyone working on the show cared at all, so I really don't blame them. Well, that was the fruit of evolution, and it was it's boring, very unfunny, looks like shit, and I don't understand how so many of these awful isekais managed to get anime adaptations. Not only that, but how the hell was this able to get 2 seasons? Well, on the bright side, this is one less isekai harem I have to worry about. But then again, there's so much others I still have to review, so fuck me in the asshole. Anyway, on to the final scores. Season 1 gets a 3.07 and Season 2 gets a 2.19 out of 10.
I'm Glenn Quagmire.
Well, that's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, you can leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, or even support me on Patreon. Link down below. Anyway, hey guys, I guess that's it.